Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our second lecture on fundamentals of information system. Today we'll be focusing on software, so that by the end of the day we have an appreciation of what software is in terms of network operating systems. So I'll just give you a brief overview of the structure of software in general. So I think most of you are familiar with the definition of software. I think we have covered it in a lot of subjects, including CDC that you did in your first semester. But simply put, software is any program that enables you to perform a specific task with a computer or with a computing device. It is interesting to note that most of the devices that we are using these days, they contain some software of some sort. Be it a stove at home, a car you are driving, your mobile phone, your radio, your watch, almost every device that we use these days has some form of software in it. And it is this software that directs or that manages the function of the device we are using and its interaction with its environment. And we are talking of the environment in context of computing devices. We are relating or we are talking about the devices that interact with that main device that is the main software installed. So if it's a computer, its operating environment will include players like mouse, the keyboard, the monitor, the touch screen. That's the operating environment. Those are the devices that software enables the main computing device to interact with. So it is very much impossible for any device to operate without software. But software provides that platform for creating a relationship with an external device. And in terms of software, we have two types of software, which are mainly operating system and application software. And the operating system is the base software that the application software sits on. So you will notice you cannot have an application software installed on your machine without first having an operating system installed. And it is the operating system that controls and coordinates the function of the computer and external hardware devices. It is also the operating system that provides a platform for interaction between the software, that is the application software, the hardware, and the user. So for you to be able to use your computing device or your networking device, it needs to have an operating system, sometimes referred to as system software. So when you talk about system software, you realize that we have various forms of system software. I think there are about 5 forms of system software, which are: 1, the operating system. We can define it on its own, and it stands on its own. A system software. Then we have device drivers, we have firmware, we have programming languages, we have utilities. Drivers, it is that software that enables a computer to communicate with an external device. For example, let's take a mouse. For a mouse to function properly, it needs to have drivers that are compatible with the software that is installed on that computer. A very good example of this, where you see the relevance or the practical use of software device, is when you install a device for the first time. Let's take, for example, you buy your computer, and you also buy your printer. Then the first time you want to use your printer, when you plug it onto your computer, it will first search for the relevant drivers that enables it to function with that computer and the software installed on that computer. So if you check on the bottom right corner of your computer, when you plug your device for the first time, you will see an icon indicating that the driver or the device that you've added to the computer is searching for the relevant drivers that enables it to work. So even the same goes for networking devices. For them to function properly with the computing or the computer that we have, they are supposed to also have drivers as well. So the next item that we can talk about is firmware. And this is mainly put by original equipment manufacturers. I think these other items you have to read further for yourself. Firmware, programming language translators, and utilities. I will leave these ones out for you to read further about them as part of your reading. Then the next item that we want to talk about is application software. So remember in the previous slide we said there are two main categories of software or software types, which are operating system and application software. So application software, this is software that performs specific tasks for the user. And for application software to work properly, it is supposed to sit on top of the application, so on top of the system software or the operating system. You cannot run or operate an application software without the system software. Any other software that you want to use on your computer, it is supposed to sit on top of of the system software. So remember earlier when I said system software provides the interaction between the hardware devices, the user. So system software enables the application software to perform it provides an environment, or I would say if it's in football, it provides the playing field for all other applications to interact and play and perform the various tasks that they are supposed to perform. So most application software is designed to run mainly on three platforms, which are desktops, mobile devices, and and browsers. So you realize some application software can open, let's say, take for example the first category that I indicated there, word processors. You can run your word processor on your mobile device, be it an Android or an iOS. You can run a word processor via a web browser, for example, Google Docs. That's a web processor running on a web browser on a web browser. So application softwares these days, they are mainly running on three platforms, which are desktops, that is desktops and laptops, mobile devices, and browsers. So the categories of application software that you can install on your use, they are mainly determined by by the needs of the user or the tasks that the user is supposed to perform. You realize from the examples that I've given, I have not included the network operating system, and I did this deliberately. So in your scheme of thinking or in your scheme of things or understanding of these software things, where do you think network operating systems stand or fit? Do they stand in the operating systems category or do they fit in the application software category? What is your answer on that question? I will not answer that question for you. I want you to ponder about it for a while and answer it for yourself. So in terms of application software, I've just listed in broad categories here: word processors, databases, accounting packages, spreadsheets, media players, web browsers, email. And this is not all there is in terms of application software categories. So what I want you to do is to go and do your own research. You identify all the application software categories that are there and you familiarize yourself with them. So for this assignment, I want you to go and look at least 5 application softwares that are on your machine, be it a laptop and your desktop. Familiarize yourself with how they operate, how you start the application, how you perform various tasks using the application. I know you might have done this in CDC. So what I want you to do is you write a single page document indicating how you access these applications that you are talking about or that are on your machine, how you access the application, what it does, its major uses, its advantages, and its disadvantages. And this is supposed to fit in a single page document. So you type your document. If it's a word processor, for example, let's look at the word processor here. One application package in terms of word processor that you can talk about is what? Apache OpenOffice. You write Apache OpenOffice. How to access it? You go to Start. You navigate to probably the Apache folder. You open it. Those are the kind of steps that I expect you to list in terms of accessing this application package. So each and every one of you, I expect you to have this single summary of these 5 application packages, or this summarized document containing these applications that are on your PC, not on someone else's PC. I know some of you would want to trick me and copy or share your documents. Each one, write what is on your PC. When you have done that, I will request or indicate when I want this document submitted. Right. Let's go back to our question where I asked, where do network operating systems fit in the scheme of things in terms of what? Does it fit in under application software or does it fit under system software? So we are going to define what a network operating system is. We look at its functions and characteristics. We look at the various types of network operating systems that are there and the services that are offered by network operating systems. What is a network operating system? And I've put the word network in quotes. So you realize the definition that I've given here, it can also apply to an operating system. That's why I've put the word network in quotes. It is a program that acts as an intermediary between the user of a computer and the computer hardware. So the operating system or the network operating system will sit between the user of the computer and the computer hardware to ensure that there's good flow of communication between the two computing devices. Or we can say it is a collection of programs that work together to control the operations of the computing or the networking environment. So these two definitions that I've given, they apply what? You can use them to define an operating system, or you can use them to define what? A network operating system. I want you to identify and give me various types of operating systems that are there. These answers for the types of operating systems that are there, I will expect you to give these answers under the discussion forum of the Impact Learning platform. So after each video that I've posted, I'll post the relevant PowerPoint on the Impact Learning platform when it is functional. I know right now it's not functional. Then I'll expect you to provide me with answers on some of these questions that I'm posing, that I'm not providing answers on that platform under the discussion section. And the basic goals of any operating system or any network operating system are to execute user tasks or to solve user problems and make the computer easy to use. So let's look at what functions of a network operating system. There are quite a number of functions of a network operating system that we can talk of, and I know some of you are familiar with them. In fact, we have been using these functions of network operating system for ages. As long as you are using any device that is connected to a network or any computing device that communicates to a network, be it a Wi-Fi, be it a LAN, be it a VSAT network, you'll be using what? The benefits or the functions of a network operating system. One, it allows what? Clients to connect to a network. It allows computers to communicate over a network to share resources. It allows us to manage computing devices over a network. I'll also give you a link to, I'll post it under the discussions where you can read more on these functions of network operating systems. But some of the functions that we can talk of include what? Providing basic operating system features, such as supporting automatic hardware detection, running multiple applications. Remember earlier on I talked about device drivers. For those who used computers prior to, I think, to Windows 7 and going backwards, I think prior to Windows XP, when you installed a new device or a new hardware to a computer, you're supposed to also identify and install the relevant drivers for that device to function. Now these days we have what is called plug and play. This is more like the automatic detection of a new hardware that is attached to a computer and the automatic identification and installation of the relevant device drivers. So you no longer have to know the exact drivers that are supposed to be installed for a particular hardware, because it's now being done automatically with the aid of what? Network operating system. The network operating system also provides security features. So when you go to your public Wi-Fi or to a specific Wi-Fi at home, you realize you are presented with a logon screen where you are supposed to provide your username and password for you to access particular network resources. These are the features of what? Of a network operating system. Interconnect devices. Now you can use your mobile devices to create your small networks through ShareIt, where you can have 2 or 3 mobile devices sharing resources or accessing resources on each other's mobile devices. You can use Bluetooth. These are functionalities of network operating system where you are able to interconnect various devices. At home, you are using your Wi-Fi, you are connected to your router. 4 or 5 devices at home are connected to the router. All these are functions of what? Of a network operating system. You talk about user management, you log on and log off. All these are functions of what? Of a network operating system. Remote access of files. And then in terms of remote access, now you can access your emails wherever you are, and some of you don't even know where your emails are hosted. For example, the Gmail that you use, do you know where those servers are that host your Gmail or that keep your emails? Your Facebook pictures, where are they stored? Whose server owns or stores those Facebook pictures, those Instagram posts that you post every day. You don't even know where those things are, but you just access them remotely. And these are functions of what? Of a network operating system. Then monitoring system security and provide what? Security management. This we'll talk in detail as we progress. But all these are functions of what? Of network operating system. I know there are some Wi-Fi's that you can't access as part of what? Security. Maybe a good example or a simplified example is you can't access certain Wi-Fi networks when you don't have the username and passwords. Those are what? Security measures that are put what? To monitor usage of what? Of that software. Then network administration, utilities, and also granting remote applications. So you realize network operating systems, they have a lot of functions. And some of these functions that I've highlighted or that we've talked about here, they are also executed by the operating system. So you will note earlier on when I gave the definition of a network operating system, here, I put the word network in quotes, and I did this deliberately. The operating systems that we have these days, they also come with embedded network operating system features. So you realize when you install a Windows 7 operating system or a Windows 10 operating system, or when you install a Linux Ubuntu operating system, you don't have to look for an independent network operating system, as the operating system that you are installing comes with inbuilt network operating system features in it. So sometimes it might be very difficult to separate what the Windows operating system or any other operating system from the network operating system. Well, of course, there are other dedicated network operating systems that are out there, and these are mainly in the Linux variant. Of course, Windows is one or two fully fledged network operating system, but I think the most fully fledged network operating systems that are still out there are mainly in the Linux variant. Right, so let's summarize what we have talked about today in terms of network operating systems. I think we can summarize it by looking at these two images. Most of the issues that we have talked about, they are represented in these two images. One, allowing interconnection of various devices or various computing devices, allowing access to shared resources. For example, here we might have shared resources being housed on these servers, and all these workstations will access these resources. Taking specialized functions, we might have, let's say, the printing services being housed here, and these devices will be able to print using a printer attached here because of the specialized role that this server will take to become a print server. So in short, I think we've just covered what the basic, or we've just tried to have a basic understanding of the structure of software, from what is software, what is application software, what is system software, what is network operating systems, and how these interrelate or work together, what is a utility program, what is a driver. So you realize there are various branches or various terminologies used in software. And you, as an upcoming network engineer or a network administrator, we expect you to have a better appreciation and a better understanding of the structure of software, as you will be expected to use various softwares in your duties as a network administrator or a network manager. You will be expected to be able to assist users in installing various application softwares on your network. You'll be expected to manage how various application softwares affect your network operations, implement various security softwares on your network, So we expect you as a network administrator to understand and appreciate the relationships and the levels of softwares that are there so that you can properly manage your networks. The more you appreciate or understand about softwares, the more you improve the way you're going to manage your networks. Because these days, it's all about knowing and managing what your software is for a software to be for your network to be efficiently managed and to operate efficiently. Now, if there are any questions, you can post them on the Impact platform so that we discuss and learn. So I expect you to go through the PowerPoint, read further, even on the links that I'm going to provide and the resources that I'm going to provide, so that you enhance your knowledge in terms of software. Thank you very much.